What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing a backtesting video. Going to be backtesting a week of data, going over the trades I take, trades I fade, and the reasoning behind everything I do. So let's just get straight into it. If you do end up liking this video, feel free to join the Discord link in the description of this video. It is completely free. I'm trying to build an amazing community in here, and we're in VC every single day trading New York AM. So yeah, feel free to join. All right, I just chose like a random day. So it looks like we have July 2022. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Um, Immediately, what am I seeing? Well, I'm kind of seeing that. Hold on. Damn. All right. What are we doing? Well, we're clearly in some sort of bullish uptrend right here. You can see we keep trying to move lower, and we just met with tons of rejection. We print these rejection wicks on the daily, and then we keep up moving higher, and we're not really sweeping out any buy side once we move higher off those rejection wicks. So we're kind of in this rangy daily profile, right? Not really doing much. I want to go down to the 4 hour to kind of see what is happening. 4 hour. Oh wait, I have a suspicion that maybe we have a glitch. Hold on. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're safe. That's just a weird candle. All right. So we have this 4 hour gap right here on NQ, and then we also have this 4 hour gap right here on ES. I'm going to be using these as my condition. I really don't have to scale down any lower to see that we are bullish. So this is a analog. Are we rejecting out of anything higher? No. We ended up inverting this 4 hour. We edged the swing high. So I don't know why my time frames are all messed up. This is a 4 hour. Yes. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. All right. So we still have that analog lower, but we don't necessarily have to hit it to move up further. We're just very bullish on the day. We do have this hourly intermediate low on ES, and high time frame ES has these two swing highs as well. So high time frame looking very bullish. I kind of just want to see how price develops here. Of course, I'm going to be using this 4 hour gap as my condition, right? Meaning I just want to see price tap it and I just want to see the reaction off open. Gotta see what happens after price mitigates that gap. Same thing on ES, right? I want to see what ES does after we hit this intermediate low. We also have the 4 hour below, and then we also have this analog on IQ. So I'm going to be looking for an open low high close. See what happens at open. Wait, I'm just realizing. Let me change something here. I need to turn on interval. That is what's messing me up. All right, there we go. 4 hour, 1 hour. Okay. So I could actually use this 30-minute intermediate high as a condition to go towards the 4 hour and the intermediate low on ES, kind of use it as an agreed upon draw on liquidity. Going to be using this 4 hour gap as an agreed upon DOL because what I see is before price has to either move up or down, price should come up, sweep out this high, and then move towards here before either coming up or trading through it and going towards the analog. So that is going to be kind of my sweet zone to trade towards. We also have some sort of low resistance liquidity leading towards it right now. We did print a pretty bearish candle at open, so I'm just really expecting 9:30 to probably manipulate into the 4 hour, and from there I'll just kind of trade based off of how price is trading out of it. So let's see what happens. Okay, we wick the 4 hour, kind of just generating. ES is inside the draw above us. Okay. ES sweeps out that 30-minute intermediate high, and so does NQ. So you can go ahead and delete that. We're inside that 30-minute gap. See if we can get a flip down. Big rejection wick. Not what you like to see. There is a 1 minute inversion here, but I'm not going to be taking it. We didn't put an SMT nor stop rate up here, and we just printed a huge rejection wick right there, so just a low probability inversion to take. Put an SMT. This is a very rangy PA right now. I'm gonna just want to wait for some sort of confirmation. We also have our 1045 open up higher, accumulate. We have 1045 open up higher, sweep out our AM high. Let me put my magnet back. Sweep out the AM high right here. And I just want to kind of see the reaction off of this because ES still has draws lower. We do have this 4-hour intermediate low, and if we are truly bearish, we should just keep on respecting this. We also are inside of this 30-minute intermediate high right here, so I just want to see if price flips aggressively, and if not, then we're probably just bullish towards this daily buy side above. Yeah, so not a lot of bullish momentum here. ES just kind of really sitting in that range. Not a very big fan of what I'm seeing right now. We do have this big 5-minute. If we do inverse this 5-minute, I do believe we put in an SMT with this high. We did. It's not the exact correlated high though, which is super unfortunate, but ES still has that high time frame SMT, and it has the NWAG 4-hour below. So if we do get this 5-minute inversion, I will be taking this short just purely based off of where ES is. We also have our 10 a.m. opening lower, and after we get our confirmation of 10 a.m. just closing below this gap right here, then it should just come down and manipulate out these lows. See what happens. Oh, very weird PA. Very rangy. We're kind of just sitting in this premium, not doing much. Looks like we're just kind of rejecting off that 5-minute. I don't really want to short because we just keep on wicking out of this 5-minute, respecting it. Pretty weak inversion. Right, so now we have the Tuesday. Do not mind me like randomly cutting to the next day. Like I swear I'm not doing anything suspicious. I'm just like I'm running out of breath speaking so much. So I swear I'm not like fat. Like I'm just running out of breath. It's tough to do this, guys. Um, so here with the Tuesday, a little bit more of an obvious bullish trend, right? What do we do? Previous day, well, we come up and we edge this high on both indexes. We move back down into sort of EQ the range, which I will mark out in a sec. I mean, it looks like EQ almost, right? This expansion leg. Oh, my fib is like not even. Yeah, pretty much EQ the range. What do we do there too? Do we have some sort of daily gap that we displaced into? Let me see. No, we actually have a daily gap right below us. But we are rejecting off of this 4-hour, printing this big wick, and we're starting to trade through these 4 hours to the left. So I might just fade out the fact that there's a daily gap unless we really start moving towards it. But I really just do want to keep in mind that there is a daily gap below us. Why am I leaning bullish? Because we do end up respecting this 4-hour, we start chopping, and now we're just trading through this big bearish range, right? We're not really rejecting at all. We're printing big hourly bodies, closing those bodies, and we just keep on trading through it towards these DOLs higher. So I just want to kind of continue that uptrend. Now I'm going to look for some sort of condition to seek price higher. We do have this 15-minute gap right here that I will be using as my condition. If we end up holding this more premium gap, then obviously I'm just going to expect price to just continue this really bullish rally up towards those DOLs higher. But if we start to flip below and we print some sort of high time frame gap, then I will definitely be willing to take some sort of short towards this daily gap or towards these hourly gaps right here. So that is kind of the play right now. I would also be willing to take some sort of short towards this 15-minute intermediate low because we are inside of this 4-hour, and I'm pretty sure we are at EQ of this range too. So really just neutral. We kind of are at EQ. We're a little bit in premium, so definitely willing to take some sort of short to those agreed upon DOLs below. We are at CE of this 4-hour gap, and it looks like ES is also at CE of its 4-hour gap. Yes, so ES is just at CE of its gap. All right, I'm just going to see how PA plays out. I'm willing to take some sort of short with decent structure, but mostly I'm just looking to continue longs here. So we have ES sitting in range again, right? If we look at ES, not really doing much. NQ also not really doing much, just generating low resistance, kind of really just setting us up for longs, generating all this liquidity and leaving this 930 wick intact right here. We also have ES not leaving its 930 wick intact, sweeping it out. So we put an SMT inside of a key level, but there's just no shorting opportunity off of that because NQ is just displacing towards this 15-minute gap right here. So let's just see what happens. Dang, this is really god awful PA. This is horrid. All right, so ideally I would look for a long from this position here, but it seems that ES just really has not swept any high time frame key level. It has no reason to distribute higher. We do not have that true manipulation, so I would just not be taking any longs here until ES takes out this black line. Resweep, perfect. We'll see what happens here. We also do have our 945 open lower. What do we have? Well, we have 930 non-manipulate. We have 930 slowly move down, generating liquidity. We then have 945 open up, manipulate out this 15-minute intermediate low, putting in a stop rate. At the same time, we have ES 945 manipulating this 15-minute gap. From here, I would be looking for longs. I just kind of want to see what we have high time frame gap wise. We really haven't created anything. We do have that 30-second. If we do inverse this 30-second gap right here, I will be taking it long up towards that 930 wick. We'll see what happens. 30-second. We have not inversed the 30-second yet. I would probably like to see this 1-minute CISD paired with that 30-second inversion, just because these really discounted trades are a little bit shady, especially when PA is kind of just choppy and really just printing tons of rejection wicks. Yeah. All right, we do have that 30-second inversion. I really wish NQ was moving like ES right now, but unfortunately it's not. We barely invert this candle. This is just terrible 30-second. I'll just see how we close on this 1-minute candle. I might still be interested depending on how we close above that line right there. Oh yeah, I'm definitely interested in this. So I'm going to be taking this long right here. Dang, that is not the right color for my position. All right, so I'm just gonna be running a 1-to-1, probably just go break even once ES takes out its AM high. So let me break down this trade. High time frame, extremely bullish, right? What do I do after identifying that high time frame is bullish? Where I look for DOLs. What do we have above us? Well, we have all these daily swing highs that we edged prior. Now, since I find my DOLs higher, I look for a condition, something to tell me how price is going to get towards those DOLs. I find this 15-minute gap right here. I build my story, right? I want to see price open up inside this 15-minute gap. And if we hold this more premium gap, theoretically, we should just be bullish and keep on trading right through this really bearish range that we printed on Monday, the day before us. What do we do at 9:30? Well, 9:30 opens up. It does not fall down straight towards the 15-minute. Instead, it generates a ton of low resistance liquidity. We then get our 9:45 open up, put in a stop rate, sweeping out this 15-minute intermediate low. From there, we don't get an immediate inversion, but we do get strong displacement. We get a 1-minute CISD with a very strong body close paired with this 30-second inversion right here. So this should be enough for me to take it, even though this really just is not a clean inversion whatsoever. This is a very strong close above this body right here, and I'm very confident in the framework of this trade. So I'm going to be taking this trade a little bit more discretionary, but still a very valid trade. I will be going break even once ES takes out that AM high. ES is approaching the AM high. ES takes the AM high, and then we end up hitting full take profit. If you guys are wondering why I never just run it, I do not need this extra 0.45 R, right? Even though it might hit. But look at this. See, this is just why I target 1-to-1s, especially when ES is the leading index towards my DOL, because once we put in this SMT, it's uncertain if price will take out this now very protected DOL and then move back down, right? So I just want to get out 1-to-1, take my piece of the pie. All I need is my 1R for the day, and then I'm done. This was a great trade. So yeah, let me just go to the next day. Right, so here we have the Wednesday, and you can clearly see overnight, or not even overnight, just the remainder of that previous day being the Tuesday, we really just pumped up. We took out all these DOLs higher, so I was fully correct on my bullish bias. We ended up leaving that daily gap unmitigated, and we just pump up, sweeping out all that buy side. Now, what do we do in the process? Well, we create these huge bullish gaps that I want to see price return down into. You can see ES right here, already inside of that large 4-hour. NQ just edging that large 4-hour right there. You can see this is the Wednesday open right above here. So really overnight on Wednesday did not do very much. I do want to check if we have news. All right, the news thing is bugged. Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Okay, so what do we do? Well, we just kind of generate this high on both indexes. I wonder if that is the correlated high. It is. All right, sweet. So now we're just trading inside of this hourly gap currently. I would really like to see NQ trade towards this 4 hour gap. So I am going to be looking for shorts, even though we're in such a aggressive high time frame uptrend, right? We just keep on rejecting out these lows, and now we're starting to really move higher. Because I know prior I said on Monday it was a little bit rangy. That's why our Monday was a little bit really bad day to trade, right? Because we're kind of rangy high time frame. We're rejecting the lows, but we're also failing to sweep out any significant liquidity higher. We just kept on moving back down to EQ the range. But now you can see for the rest of this week, we starting to move up, really show direction towards the upside, which is great to see for PA. Now, I really just do want to use this big 4 hour as an agreed upon DOL for NQ. I don't really see a world where we're in such a premiumed area that NQ just does not return down to not even EQ the range, but just this large, this very obvious large 4 hour gap. I'm going to go down to the 30 minute. We are inside of an hourly gap, so I would be willing to take shorts. Do we have generated liquidity? Yeah, we do. So we do have a ton of low resistance leading up on the 1 minute towards that 4 hour gap right there, which is great to see. If we do get some sort of sweep of this intermediate high and immediate displacement back down, I would be willing to take a short. But what I'm seeing now is we have low resistance right here, and we have low resistance right here. So obviously you just want to look in the middle of that when there's DOLs on either side. Again, look for the condition being this 30-minute intermediate high, and we just want to see how price reacts off that high. So if price trades into this high and then we start moving lower, I'm expecting to see this 4 hour gap get hit. But if price trades above this high and we just start kind of going on a liquidity run, taking out all this low resistance, then I just want to kind of long off some sort of high time frame imbalance we create. So that is what I'm thinking coming into the day. I just want to see this black line get hit on both indexes and kind of determine what my bias is based off of that. All right, ES does not hit it. We come up for a resweep. Okay, we resweep the high. ES still has not hit that high, sadly, and we do really need that true manipulation. All 930 has done at this point is just generate liquidity at the lows, which is amazing to see because I really just want to trade towards that 4 hour. All right, ES ends up sweeping out that high, which is amazing to see. So we have our stop right here. Let me mark that out. What do we have on ES? ES also sweeps out that 30-minute intermediate high. It trades above 930 price. So now we have that 930 manipulation on both indexes. Now I'm just looking for some sort of short. Okay. We put in that SMT. Do we have some sort of 5 minute gap acting as an agreed upon DOL? Dang, my thing is lagging like crazy. What the heck? We do have a 5 minute gap down below right here. Now, usually I do not use these 5 minutes as an agreed upon DOL, but in this case I might. Like, I'm not really sure what I completely want to do here. We do have this big SMT at the AM high. We don't have a 30-second inversion. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this position. I'm just going to go to 30-second. Yeah. Where's the 30-second closure? I think I'm going to be taking this trade. I'm going to have a very mechanical break even at that 1 minute intermediate low. Okay, so let me explain the framework of this trade. Oh, guys, I don't know why my FX replay is like bugging right now. This is actually bad. Okay, so obviously, coming into today, I was wanting to use this 30-minute gap that we're currently trading inside of as my condition to see either higher or lower prices, right? Now, what do we have open? 930 does what? Well, 930 doesn't do anything at the lows. All it does is it just generate more liquidity leading up to this very obvious 4 hour gap. We then, from there, move up pretty high. And what do we have above us? Well, we do have this high of day being the swing high, and we have tons of low resistance liquidity leading up towards it, right? So now we have the exact same thing, low resistance on both sides. So now what do? We look for a condition in the middle of that range. That could be this 5 minute gap right here. What do we have? Well, we have price move up inside of that 30-minute on both indexes. We then put in an SMT, a bearish SMT at the AM high. We generate some sort of liquidity right here, even though we do have our 9:45 open soon. I am expecting price after this very bearish close to at least rip through this 1-minute intermediate low towards this 5-minute gap right here, using this 5-minute gap as an agreed upon DOL, right? Why is it an agreed upon DOL? Because after getting this 30-second bearish inversion, I'm expecting price to guaranteed hit this 5-minute gap, because if we're bearish from this point on after this SMT, we should just trade straight through this 5-minute towards all this low resistance and go on liquidity run towards the 4-hour gap. Or if we're bullish, we should still trade towards the 5-minute gap, just as if we were bearish, but then we should, after mitigating it, reject up and take out the high of day and all that low resistance above. So I really do like this trade. These kind of trades are a little bit riskier. It's usually better when your agreed upon DOL is a 15-minute gap, but I've seen it pretty much be 70% win rate with 5 minutes. So I am going to be taking this. I don't know why my position tools are different colors for both things. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I will be taking this. ES also, if you look at ES, we write the SMT right here. This high does not sweep out this high in ES, but this high sweeps out this high in IQ. ES prints this huge bearish candle, not really like trading into any gaps. We're trading into this 2-minute, but we don't have a 5-minute. ES is just trading towards all this low resistance, towards that 4-hour intermediate low again. So I really just do like this trade. Let me go to the 30-second here. Let me do place order. Save that bad boy. All right, let's see what happens. Stop out in one candle. Let's go. Whew. Yep. All right, so that's the risk with taking these kind of plays right here. Honestly, what I could have done better for sure with this type of play is realize that my stop loss isn't extremely protected, right? Like, even though NQ in theory should hit this 4-hour gap, I should have honestly waited, if I'm targeting the 4-hour, for price to have some sort of 9:45 open high, and then we get this 5-minute inversion or some sort of high time frame inversion towards all this low resistance, instead of getting stuck up on the low time frame and trying to trade towards a lower probability 5-minute gap. Honestly, I've still seen those trades play out a lot of times, especially when there is low resistance above at your stop loss. That's usually a 70% win rate type of play for me. It just didn't end up playing that time, so that is unfortunate. But hey, we move on. There is a risk to every single trade you take. We accept it, and then we just go next day. So next day. All right, this is next day. This is the Thursday. I'm starting off the daily time frame, because high time frame, what do I see? Well, we have a bunch of like imbalances below that we should trade towards. And on the weekly time frame, we are inside of this weekly gap on both indexes. ES just ended up sweeping up this weekly intermediate high. Going down to the daily, we're inside this more premium daily gap. Now, going into the current day, what have we just done? Well, we just swept out this intermediate high on both indexes. We ended up souping it out, printing a rejection wick, and we're starting to move down off of it towards imbalances lower. What do we have on NQ? Well, NQ has this big obvious 4-hour right here. What do we have on ES? Well, we just have this daily gap down below on ES. So what do I do now? I've identified my draw on liquidity. I'm looking for some sort of condition to trade towards it. Also, we do have a abundance of low resistance liquidity going towards our 4-hour gap. Let me just make sure that that is the correlated low. It is not. This is. So we have an abundance of low resistance, high time frame low resistance going towards that gap. So I am very confident in price hitting that gap. Sadly, we do not have any sort of condition towards it at open. We'd have to come up and resweep this high up here, which I don't really want to see. ES does have that 15-minute, but sadly NQ does not. Very unfortunate. I just kind of want to see what happens here. I am going to stay on the higher time frame, because I do not want to get stuck up on the low time frame right here, especially when just NQ has no condition and we have all this low resistance, high resistance above. So let's just play out price, see what happens. Okay, so we open up, we start moving higher a little bit. 9:30 does what exactly? Well, 9:30 just generates liquidity at the highs, and we start running down towards 4-hour gap. I am willing to long when we hit the 4-hour if we hold this more premium 4-hour gap. But if we start to fail and trade through it, we open up some sort of 15-minute continuation gap. I will be trading towards the daily gap right here. So let's see what we do from here. So we did cancel out any possibility of opening some sort of, we do have this hourly intermediate low, but I don't really care about it. I'm not really using it to trade any higher because if you look at ES has no key levels that it's trading out of. It maybe has like some sort of like random 15-minute intermediate low. But there's also low resistance and a 4-hour gap that's unmitigated at your stop loss. You're also targeting a high resistant high overall, but there is some low resistance here. Just not a very good trade because you have that 4-hour at your stop loss. It's a very rangy PA. Right now we're starting to move up higher. ES is inside of its 15-minute gap. NQ, no imbalances to trade lower out of. So we wanted to kind of just come up and sweep out this high. If anything, all we have done at 9:30 is just generate more and more liquidity down towards that 4-hour gap. So I'm just becoming more and more confident in a short at this point. We do have 10 a.m. opening up in 4 minutes. So we'll see what happens there. We have 10 a.m. open up higher. We then just move lower. Really no imbalances for NQ to trade off of. Pretty unfortunate PA right now. Yeah, I'm just not really seeing much. We have our 9:45 open higher. We don't really have any sponsored gaps to kind of trade out of. Nothing sponsored. I mean, technically this 5-minute is sponsored from this because we hit this 5-minute right here. This 5-minute is technically sponsored from the sweep of that daily intermediate high. So this could be a possible area to short out of. Also, this 5-minute is sponsored on ES too. We do have our 9:45 does what? Well, our 10:15 does what? We have 10:15 just open higher. We just keep on generating low resistance liquidity at these lows. I just want to see what happens from here. We end up leaving that 5-minute, trading towards the 4-hour gap. I'm not willing to take any sort of long right now because ES still has no imbalances that it's inside of. And now we're just late in the session, so this is just going to be a no trade day. We're just kind of stuck in that really awkward range. Kind of unfortunate, but yeah, go to the next day. All right, so now we have the final day, the Friday. High time frame, pretty obvious again, right? We just keep on edging all these DOLs lower and just continuing higher. So obviously, I just want to be bullish again. Just going to be looking for any condition to kind of trade higher today. It is a Friday, so possibly not expecting much. Overnight, not an extremely big move, right? We open lower, we create this N log, and then we start moving back up very slowly. Not really generating any low resistance, just kind of creating this big range right here. Just looking for any sort of key levels to deliver price higher. We don't seem to have anything on ES, but on NQ, we do have that 30-minute intermediate low, and on ES we do have this 15-minute gap. So all I'm looking for at open is an open low high close towards this liquidity above. Obviously ES probably going to end up taking that out and putting in SMT, but I'm still willing to long just because of how bullish we are. I will flip bearish, however, if we start trading through and we open up some sort of high time frame continuation gap, I will short towards all this liquidity down here, all this low resistance. So that is kind of my idea going into the day. Let's get into it. ES ends up taking it that high, and Q dumps down. We don't end up leaving that 9:30 wick. We get an SMT with this low. Okay. We end up resweeping that. ES is inside of that 15-minute gap. There's no 30-second, 2-minute, 3-minute. No gaps to kind of carry price higher. Then we just get this huge, massive candle right here. Yeah, there was a possible 15-second at the very bottom of the range. I'm just not comfortable taking a 15-second that is this discounted. Not really a big fan of that type of play. We're starting to trade up higher towards this draw up here. See what happens from this point. See if we're able to open up some sort of 5-minute continuation gap. Unfortunately, yes, right, really nothing to bring it higher if we do end up hitting that gap. So we open up inside of that gap, 945 manipulates inside of that sponsored 5-minute gap, sponsored from that 30-minute intermediate low being swept. We mark out this low right here. So we're inside of this very small 5-minute right here. You can see it. Yes, no key level right there. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see if it takes out that 15-minute intermediate low. Plausible 30-second big rejection wicks. Not really a fan of any of that. We end up coming out, taking out the do well above. Just no entries for me. Now I do want to see if this is some sort of key level, but I don't think it is, right? We just have all this high time frame, low resistance, this weekly intermediate high above. So I'm not really willing to short from this position. Rather, I'm just waiting to see if we open some sort of gap again, or if ES is willing to come back down and give us a valid entry after we come back down and possibly sweep out this 5-minute intermediate low. So we just start to V-shape down lower towards that low. This is just a very insignificant high, right? Going in the higher time frame. It's not inside of any key levels. All we have is just this huge pile of low resistance towards the left that I'm more confident in longing towards. So this is just really a long with no high time narrative behind it or anything like that. So we end up coming down, sweeping out that 5-minute intermediate low. We're moving back down towards the AM low. We take out the AM low. We put in a stop raid. So we have our 10 a.m. open low. Right here, we have our 10 a.m. opens lower. Let me mark this out. 10 a.m. We have 10 a.m. open lower. Come down, sweep out this AM low. We then put in a stop raid after generating a high. See what we do from this point on. We resweep the low again. ES now puts in a stop raid at the same time, right? So now we have a double stop raid right here. And then from there, we get this 1-minute inversion back up towards this 5-minute gap. We are already trading inside of a 5-minute gap, unfortunately, and this is a pretty discounted entry, so I would have to see these two 5 minutes get inverse before we take another long, unfortunately. Just want to kind of see what price does from this point on. If we do end up inversing those two 5-minute gaps, I will be entering in some sort of long position towards the AM high. Mark this out. Yes, same exact thing, right? Trading towards that AM high again. Okay, we do not get the inversion, but we are inside of a sponsored 5-minute gap on both indexes. We do have this kind of framework of 10-15 opening up, generating liquidity at the high. We're in EQ of this range. We're trading above 10 a.m. price. We're inside of this now sponsored 5-minute gap. And now I'm looking for any sort of inversion back up towards the AM high. We put in a stop raid. And it looks like we're just starting to kind of dump back down here. Did we end up inversing this 5-minute ever? No, but we end up sweeping out this intermediate low. We end up sweeping out that intermediate low. We get a big, strong candle back up. I'm willing to take some sort of 2-minute here. We do have pretty good 30-second, but this is just like a little bit seek and destroy PA, so I'd rather see that 2-minute, right? We end up rejecting and kind of just chopping around in this discount. So nothing for me here today. Possible trade could have been this 5-minute, just ES really had no reason to move higher. ES had already taken out that high too. So nothing that I was extremely confident in there. Let's just go next day, final day. Yeah, so now we are on the Monday, and we're starting to look a little bit bearish. Actually, you can see on the 4-hour we come up, we end up sweeping this high, printing this rejection wick, and then giving this big down candle right here, closing a very strong body on the 4-hour, a very strong bearish body. We then open up this 4-hour gap, price overnight, comes in the 4-hour gap, mitigates it, sweeps out this intermediate high on both indexes, and now we're starting to move lower. On the hourly, we're just starting to trade straight through these hourly gaps down towards this low right here with all of this low resistance liquidity leading up to it. This is an hourly intermediate low. Same exact thing on ES, right? same exact low, tons of low resistance leading towards it, and we're just a little bit higher on ES, meaning NQ is the leading index down. What I want to do is I want to look for some sort of condition to trade lower. It looks like we have a 30-minute gap right here. Great condition to trade lower off of. 15-minute, nothing. So we have that 15-minute intermediate high. So it's also an intermediate high, that 30-minute gap. Going to be looking for a short. I want to see the market open up higher, mitigate this 30-minute, and then move back down towards this low. So that is what I'm going to be looking for today. Let me start the session. Let's open this up. Let's see what happens. All right, so 9:30 does what? Generates more liquidity at the highs. We start running back down towards that low. Don't really have any framework for anything. We're not rejecting off of anything. We just generated more low resistance liquidity. We are inside of this big hourly gap, however. Yes, also inside this hourly gap, but we do have our main deal wall that we want to target being right there. We are inside that 3-minute. We are inside by 5 minutes, so no opportunity for now. We end up not inversing that 5-minute, just generating more low resistance liquidity at the highs. Chopping around a little bit. We then have our 9:45 open up where? Here. We reaccumulate a little bit, and now we're starting to just kind of just stay in this range. Unfortunately, I really want to get like more than like 2 trades for this, but if I can't, it's all good. This is an hourly intermediate low right here on ES. If we put in an SMT at that low, I'm willing to take some sort of long up towards these DLs higher, right? Being the 5-minute there, to the 30-minute up here with all that low resistance liquidity leading up towards it. Now we do have our 10 a.m. open. It does what? Well, it generates liquidity and then opens lower. So we have a 10 a.m. open, low, high close possibly. We end up edging out that DOL. We then have 10:15. Damn, this is unfortunate, man. All right, we open lower and we're starting to move back up towards what? We don't have this 15-minute yet. It opens in 1 minute. I am going to be taking this long. Yes, I am going to be taking this long for sure because we're about to form a 30-minute gap too. So I'm going to be taking this long right here. So the framework is, right, all session, what are we doing? Well, we're just failing to move higher. We're not in falling knife structure, right? We're not just dropping down, taking out this low. We're generating low resistance liquidity to overall come back to. What do we see after this? Well, then we see 10:15 open up, sweep out this hourly intermediate low, and then start to generate more liquidity. We then get ES come down and sweep out the intermediate low that it created on the hourly gap at open. You can see right here, this hourly gap, we get this huge rejection wick. ES comes down, sweeps out that wick. We then put in a SMT with this range low. So we have an SMT inside of our high time frame key level. From there, we get a V-shape inversion. We are targeting a 15-minute gap that's about to open at 9:30, and we have a low abundance of low resistance leading towards it, right? This is why I'm taking this trade. Great framework, perfect AMD structure. And I really just do like the narrative behind it, kind of using this 15-minute as an agreed upon DOL. Yes, 9:30 could take me out, but after inversing this gap with this very strong close, right, I'm just expecting price to kind of rip straight up into the 15-minute. I'll go break even once we hit the 15-minute gap, and then from there, just let it go to my 1-to-1. So the 15-minute gap would open right there. We have all that low resistance. Going to place order. Here we go. So we're moving up higher, right? We're late in session, so got to be a little bit more patient when taking a trade. Just chop your PA. We end up hitting our 15-minute gap. We edge our 1-to-1. Hopefully we do not go to break even from here. ES has yet to be in any high time frame imbalance. It does have a 30-minute higher, but it's possible that we do get break even on this. All right, now we get our 1-to-1. That's perfect. So this was a decently late in session trade. I just like this kind of AMD structure, right? If we do all this and we go back in time, what do we have? Well, we have our accumulation, our manipulation, right? And this manipulation is timed with the same time that ES sweeps out its intermediate low. We then have our true manipulation. We get an immediate inversion back towards the upside, towards our agreed upon drawn liquidity that's going to open up in about a minute, being that 15-minute gap, meaning that if price is bearish, we should return after this manipulation to that 15-minute gap and then trade lower. But if price is bullish, we should, after this manipulation, just trade straight through the 15-minute gap, take out all this low resistance, and go towards this 30-minute gap higher. So that is the reason I took the trade. Also, this is a very nice close in the 1 minute. You can see how we are wicking outside the range, closing very strong bullish body on the 1 minute back inside the range. So that is going to be it. Again, if you watch it to the end, feel free to join the Discord, link in the description of this video. Great community in there, and thank you.